Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm really glad you're here. Have you ever stood in your bedroom thinking, I need to clean this, but then you don't even know where to begin? So you just start somewhere. Maybe a pile on the floor or a drawer, but somehow it still feels like nothing's really done. You bounce around from one thing to the next, and by the end you're tired. But the room doesn't feel any lighter. That's why I made this video. Today, I'm walking you through 12 simple, practical steps to declutter and reset your bedroom in a real order that actually works. So instead of guessing or cleaning at random, you'll have a clear path to follow from the first small win to the last drawer. This isn't about making your room look perfect. It's about helping it feel easier to live in again. So if you've been stuck in that, where do I even start feeling this is the place to start? Let's take it one step at a time. Let's start with the first step, and it's not cleaning yet. It's changing how you see the room. Because when you've been living in a space for too long, your brain filters things out. That chair in the corner with clothes on it, you don't even notice it anymore. The bag on the floor. It's just part of the room now. So this first step is about getting your eyes and your focus back. Walk out of your room, then walk back in like it's someone else's space. Stand at the doorway. Take it in slowly like you're visiting for the first time. What feels off? Which corner looks forgotten? What area feels crowded or just off? You can also take 2-3 quick photos from different angles from your bed, your desk, the door. You'd be surprised how much mess shows up in a photo that you've stopped noticing in real life. For me, it was the floor next to my bed. I had a canvas bag full of random things I meant to put away later. It had been there for months. I only saw how cluttered it looked when it showed up in a picture. That was where I started. And that's the point of this step. You're not trying to clean the whole room, just trying to decide where your energy will go first. And speaking of where your energy goes, there's one super common mistake that almost guarantees you'll waste hours decluttering, and it's not what you think. I'll talk more about it in tomorrow's video, and honestly, once I realized it, I stopped spinning in circles every time I tried to tidy up. So don't miss that one. It's the kind of shift that makes everything feel easier. Now let's move on to step 2, where we'll actually get our hands moving, but in the simplest way possible. So now we're on to step 2, and this is where your hands actually start moving. But here's the trap most of us fall into the second we decide to declutter. Our brain wants to do everything. The closet, the nightstand, under the bed, that random pile on the chair. And that's exactly how you burn out before anything really gets done. So here's what actually works. Pick one drawer and only one. Start with the smallest, least emotional spot, not the memory box or the makeup drawer with 30 lipsticks. Something simple. Like the one by your bed where old chargers, loose pills, or receipts live rent-free. Set a timer for 20 minutes. That's all. Your only goal is to finish this one spot, not the whole room. Here's what I do. I grab a small tray or box, take everything out of the drawer and sort into 3 piles. Keep. I actually use this. Relocate. It doesn't belong here. Let go. Trash, donate, or recycle. For example, last time I did this, I found 2 expired eye drops, 4 pens that didn't work, and a travel adapter I thought I'd lost. That tiny drawer had been stealing more time and mental space than I realized just by being full of nothing. And when you finish that one drawer, you win. You don't need to do more right now, because that one win, it resets the energy of the whole room. And in step 3, we'll use that momentum, but in a smarter way. Let's talk about the kind of stuff that clogs up space the fastest, and what to do with it. Now that you've done one drawer, we're ready for step 3, tackling the kind of clutter that takes up the most space, but gets touched the least. I'm talking about bulky stuff, the boxes under your bed, the bags in the corner, the things you rarely use but never quite put away because they're too awkward to store or too expensive to toss. Here's the trick. Create one deep storage bin and move them out of your everyday space. You don't have to decide today whether you'll keep or donate them, but get them out of the room you sleep and live in. I had a ring light I hadn't used in 6 months, plus an old camera bag and 3 tote bags filled with random tech things. Every time I walked by that corner, I felt mentally crowded, like I still had work to do. So I got a large storage bin with a lid labeled it Equipment, Review Later, and slid it into the hallway closet. Now it's not part of my day anymore, and that alone brought instant relief. This step is about removing visual weight, the kind that doesn't seem like clutter because it's just sitting there but keeps draining your attention every time you pass by. In the next step, we'll face something a little trickier, the things we already know we should let go of, but haven't yet. Alright, now we're at step 4, and this one's a little more emotional. You probably already know which item I'm about to talk about. That thing you spent good money on but never use. That thing someone gave you and you don't even like but you feel bad letting it go. I call these the guilt items. They sit there quietly, but every time you see them, there's this tiny inner voice that says, you should be using that, and that quiet shame adds weight to your space. Here's how I deal with them. I pull the item out, hold it for a second, and ask 2 questions. Would I buy this again today? If someone else could use this tomorrow, would I feel relief or regret? A while ago, I had a hot roller set that I used exactly once. It was beautiful, expensive, and completely wrong for my thick hair. I kept telling myself I'd try it again, for a year. When I finally decided to sell it, the feeling was instant lightness, not just in the drawer but in my chest. Like I gave myself permission to stop pretending. So if there's something in your room that's been sitting there out of guilt, you don't have to get rid of it today. But move it to a decide later box. Just get it out of your daily line of sight. That's often the real clutter things you're emotionally done with, but still physically carrying. And in step 5, we'll explore how simply shifting your room layout can do more for your brain than any organizing system ever could. Sometimes the problem isn't what's in the room, it's where everything is. By now, maybe you've decluttered a bit, but something still feels off. You clean, you organize, but the space never feels quite right. That's when it's time for step 5, move things around. Even just repositioning one big piece of furniture, your bed, your desk, a chair, can reset how your brain feels inside that space. Here's what I do. I grab a notebook and sketch my room. Nothing fancy, just a rough shape. Then I ask, can I open the curtains fully without bumping into something? Is there one clear walking path? Where do I want to face when I sit or lie down? For example, I used to have my bed pushed against the longest wall. It made sense in theory. But every morning I woke up facing the closet and laundry basket, and it drained me. When I rotated the bed 90 degrees, suddenly the first thing I saw was the window and natural light. That one shift completely changed how my mornings felt and made me want to keep the space clean. This isn't about design, it's about energy. Your layout can either make you feel stuck or make you want to breathe deeper, move easier. Start your day with a little more ease. And in the next step, we're going to make choosing your clothes just as easy by rethinking how we store the everyday stuff. Let's be honest. The hardest part of the morning sometimes isn't getting out of bed. It's figuring out what to wear without digging through a tangled mess of hangers and folded piles. That's why step 6 is simple but powerful. Separate your everyday clothes from everything else. Instead of mixing gym wear, pajamas, loungewear, and weekend cute but comfy pieces with your full wardrobe, give them their own drawer shelf or basket. Think of it like this: you're not building outfits here. You're just reaching for something that fits your real lived-in routine. For me, I moved all my leggings, tanks, sleepwear, and loose tees into 2 drawers under the bed. Suddenly, I wasn't rummaging through blouses and jeans just to find something to wear after a shower. It made my closet feel lighter and made mornings feel 10 minutes shorter. This one change removes friction. You're not making decisions before you've had coffee. You're not feeling guilty about clothes you should wear but never reach for. And in step 7, we'll take that same idea, keeping essentials within easy reach, and apply it to one of the most underused spaces in the whole room, under your bed. Under the bed can either be your secret weapon or a black hole. Most people either forget it exists or shove random things down there just for now. But step 7 is about turning that space into something useful without making it a dumping ground. Here's the shift. Only use underbed storage for items you need occasionally, not daily. Think of it like backup support, things you reach for weekly or monthly, not every morning. This could be extra bed sheets, out-of-season clothes, spare towels, or even travel kits. What made the biggest difference for me? I put my spare bedding in a clear zippered bag, my winter scarves into a labeled bin, and travel-sized toiletries in a shallow container. Everything was grouped by type, and I made sure to use containers with lids because no one wants dust in their backup towels. Now when I pull something out from under the bed, it's quick, clean, and easy. No digging, no mystery bags. No, what even is this? It's about reducing effort later, not just hiding mess now. And next we're going to talk about a type of clutter you probably haven't even seen in a while, but your brain has definitely felt it. Dust. Let's deal with that in step 8. You might not see it at first, but your body knows it's there. The dusty shelf, the baseboards behind the bed, the layer on top of that drawer you never open. That's why step 8 is all about dust, not for appearance, but for how it makes your space feel. Here's the truth: you don't need your room to sparkle, you just need it to breathe. Pick one dusty area you've been ignoring for months. Maybe it's the top of your closet. Maybe it's the windowsill behind the curtain. Maybe it's under your bed, especially now that you've organized what's stored there. I like using a small handheld vacuum or a microfiber cloth with a bit of water and vinegar. No fancy products, no full deep cleaning session. Just one focused swipe. Last week, I pulled my nightstand away from the wall and found a thick line of dust behind it. I had walked past it every single day, and my eyes had just tuned it out. But I swear wiping it took 2 minutes, and afterward my entire room felt lighter. Dust isn't just about dirt, it's about energy. It builds up in forgotten corners just like stress does. Clearing it out sends a signal to your brain. We're allowed to let go here. And speaking of buildup, in step 9, we'll tackle a different kind of clutter. The kind made of paper tasks and things left undone. Let's talk about mental load and how to manage it through your physical space. Step 9 is one most people don't think of until their desk, nightstand, or floor becomes a quiet mess of paper. Because even if your room looks tidy, just one pile of unopened mail or unsorted documents can weigh on your brain like a full inbox. And here's the fix: give all your paper one home. You don't need a system with folders and color codes. You just need one spot, a tray, a folder, or a shallow box where every loose paper goes until you're ready to deal with it. Here's what I do. I have a single inbox tray that lives near my closet. If a bill return slip or delivery receipt comes in, it goes straight there. I don't decide anything in that moment. I just give it a place. Then once a week, usually, Sunday night, I sit down with tea, go through the pile, and either toss, scan, or take action. It sounds so basic, but it's made a huge difference. Before, I used to leave a form on the kitchen counter, a letter on the bed, a note in my bag, and I was constantly thinking I need to do that thing, without ever doing it. Now, I don't think about it at all until it's time to. It's not about getting everything done. It's about not carrying it around in your head. And next, we'll take that same idea into the digital world where the clutter looks invisible, but feels even heavier. Step 10 is all about clearing space on your screen and in your mind. And now we're moving into step 10, one that doesn't involve any furniture, but still clears a surprising amount of mental space. Because digital clutter is sneaky. It doesn't pile up on the floor or spill out of drawers, but it crowds your focus, drains your energy, and makes even simple tasks feel heavier than they should. Have you ever opened your laptop to do one thing, And 20 minutes later, you're still closing pop-ups, dragging files, or trying to find that screenshot you swore you saved. That's not just disorganization, that's decision fatigue. So in this step, we're going to do a quick digital reset, just like a room reset, but for your screen. Here's where I start. Clear your desktop. Move everything into a folder called To Sort. Don't decide now. Just clear the visual noise. Go to your Downloads folder. Delete anything you don't recognize or haven't opened in the past month. Delete duplicate photos or blurry screenshots from your phone. Start with just 50. You'll be surprised how fast you move once you begin. Uninstall 3 apps or programs you haven't used in the past 60 days. I did this recently while waiting for dinner to finish baking. It took less than 15 minutes, but the next time I opened my laptop, it actually felt calm. Like my brain had a little more space to breathe. You don't need a new device, just a clearer one. And when your screen feels manageable, so do your tasks. Coming up next, we'll step back into the physical space again and head straight for the one area that collects shoulds more than anything else, your workspace. Let's simplify that in step 11. Let's move into step 11, your workspace. Even if it's not Pinterest pretty or fully set up yet, this is still where you manage your focus. And that means even a little clutter here can mess with your energy. The trick: don't overthink the look. Just split it into 3 simple zones. Use every day. Use occasionally, just storing. This way, your brain knows what belongs within reach and what doesn't. Start with the daily zone. Keep only what you use. Most your laptop, 1 pen, 1 notebook, maybe a glass of water, or a single calming item. Then move everything else into one of the other 2 categories. If it's something you use once a week, give it a spot in a nearby drawer. If you're just keeping it for someday, that goes out of sight, or better yet, out of the room. I cleared a tiny folding table I'd been using as a desk. It had 2 candles I never lit, a makeup pouch I didn't use there, and a bunch of random tech cords. Once I stripped it down to just my laptop, 1 notepad, and a small plant. It didn't just look better. I wanted to sit down and actually do the thing I'd been avoiding. The less your eyes have to filter out, the easier it is to focus. And in step 12, we'll take all this calm and set it up to last with a simple habit that keeps your room from resetting to chaos every few days. Here we are, step 12. And it's not about adding anything new. It's about finally letting go of the pressure to make things perfect. Because truthfully, you don't need a bedroom that looks like a magazine. You just need a space where you know where everything lives and nothing feels like it's shouting at you. This step is more about mindset than action. You don't have to organize every drawer today. You don't have to label every bin. But you do need to know, where does this go? Because when something has a place, even if it's not folded neatly or sorted beautifully, you no longer have to think about it. It's not sitting in the corner reminding you that you're behind. It's just handled. I had a basket in my closet that used to hold everything from receipts to hair ties to batteries. It looked neat on the outside, but every time I opened it, I felt overwhelmed. Once I gave each thing a real home: batteries in the drawer, hair stuff in the bathroom, receipts tossed or filed. I never thought about that basket again. Every space you reclaim is one less space you avoid. And when your things serve you, not the other way around, that's when your room becomes a place of rest again. Let's tie it all together in the final wrap-up. Ready for the gentle close. That was your full 12-step bedroom reset. Not a makeover, not a transformation, just a gentle shift toward a space that feels clearer, calmer, and actually yours. We didn't aim for perfect. We just made sure every corner had purpose and every item had a place. Because when you know where things belong, you stop wasting energy on decisions you've already made. And that energy, you get to use it for better things, like rest, like focus, like feeling a little more in control of your day. If even one part of this made your space feel a bit lighter, then it's already worth it. But before you go, there's something important we need to talk about. Because even with the best habits and systems, most people are still stuck in a hidden loop. A mistake that quietly undoes all your progress without you realizing it. So if decluttering always seems to not stick, don't miss tomorrow's video. That insight might be the missing piece you've needed all along. If this video felt helpful, you can tap like just so I know what's truly working for you. And if you want more ways to make your home feel calmer without doing more, subscribing is the gentlest next step. You deserve a space that supports you, not one that silently weighs you down.